Hello, everybody. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and beyond, Periscope, wherever you're watching. I am Joy Sanchez, ClapBack Queen, and you are here for another episode of ClapBack Kings and Queens, this show that I created as a space to just kind of another way to expand a project that began earlier in the summer called the Juneteenth Project. And clapback culture is something that is a phrase that I coined while studying sociology this year. I believe that clapback culture is pretty much like the modern counterculture. You know what I'm saying? That exists. We are the people on the outskirts that have been doing things our own way for a very long time. And we're just starting to see this, be able to reap all the seeds of the things that we've sown for the last decade. And so one way I like to, chronicle that is through this show, Clapback Kings and Queens, because a lot of y'all don't understand. The clapback is very, very real for a Black person. As a Black person, be living, breathing, thriving, and still trying to do anything with your life. If you are a person of color and you are still trying to do anything with your life, and you are still on this earth right now, that's a fucking clapback. So shout out to your life. Shout out to your life. And so I'm really excited because the person I'm talking to today, our guest today, is like mystical, magical, musical, worldly, and I feel like I've known her forever, but I haven't really I've gotten to know her more as we grew up. But I'm really excited to have her here today. She's self-made, self-paid, treasure empire. Oh crap, I went in a little too fast. And while we wait for her to join us in the studio, I have prepared a little playlist for y'all to get to know who we're going to be talking to today and, things about her journey. She's really incredible. She's done a lot of phenomenal things. One of them being an album that she created in Cuba. She often fuses her Afro-Cuban roots together, like her ancestry, and it's very important in her work and how it comes out. So I'm really excited for this conversation. I cannot even lie to y'all. I'm gonna get into this quick playlist. It has a couple of her old joints on it, and so hopefully she'll be in the studio here with us by then. And if not, I always know how to fill some time. You know me. I also want to give a quick shout out to Jennifer Simone, who has a full moon celebration tonight at House of Mark West, the Mark West Cultural Arts Center. So I'm really excited for that. Anyway, here's some Treasure Empire. We're going to be talking to her a little bit. I can't wait.
This story's been told to us in the quickest people from days alone. You think you know that time that statement's real bold.
Woo!
Santa Bárbara bendita, para ti soy quien iría. Santa Bárbara bendita, para ti soy quien iría. Y con emoción se espera ante tu Virgen bonita. Que viva Chango, que viva Chango, que viva Chango, que viva Chango, señores. Que viva Chango, que viva Chango, que viva Chango, que viva Chango, señores. Con voluntad infinita, arrancó del corazón la melodiosa expresión, pidiendo que desde el cielo nos envíes tu consuelo y tu santa bendición. Que viva Chango, que viva Chango, que viva Chango, que viva Chango, señores. Que viva Chango, que viva Chango, que viva Chango, que viva Chango, señores. alegría y ternura quiero llevar mi tomada. Hay tu mansión sagrada, ante lo bueno ilumina, junto a tu poder divina y tu santísima espada. Que viva Django, que viva Django, que viva Django, que viva Django, señores. Que viva Django, 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 señores. Señores, 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 señores. Thank you. Welcome me like a treasure and fire.
Hi, boo. I don't know why I can't hear you.
Because my mic was muted. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Happy almost New Year.
Right? Happy almost end of the world.
No, I feel like it's got to be new. I mean, we needed an end of the world. We needed an end of the world.
I know, right? It's not necessarily a bad thing that all the things that like were are no more. Like I keep like trying to think about celebration in this time, right? Like it's really important, especially as Black people. And this is something I picked up from our mutual friend P, that like, yo, you got to hold on to that joy. You have to find your joy. You can't let nobody take it from you. And I mean, I'm using all the puns right now because everybody knows my name is Joy, right? But like, it's really important that we constantly work regular, like even before this wasteland that we call the world, right? We always had to work really hard to keep that joy. And now this whole year I've been trying to muster up that, and I feel like, yo, I can't muster. I want to celebrate, but every time I start celebrating, I'd be like, but outside it's
well,
like
I think
outside.
Celebrations just changed a lot, and it's funny. I started a new handle and a lot of discussion around sensual celibacy, and just even reclaiming that kind of time alone before this all happened this year, and realizing how much I needed to learn how to celebrate life without everything else. Like I can't have to go outside of myself for a celebration, and I've never really been that kind of person. I'm hard on myself. I'm constantly judging myself, and I had to really, and I thank God that something told me to go in this direction before 2020. I chose this in the middle of 2019, and I had to understand the value of celebrating your own life, celebrating your own accomplishments, making sure that you're doing the things that make you happy, that you don't have to go nowhere, because I'm not on team Tulum. Like, shout out to everybody, but like I'm not on team run away, and I spent so many years
team cancel culture. I'm not on that.
You do what you want to do, that's cool, but if you don't know that there's paradise inside your skin, like if that's not happening, and then you don't need to go nowhere else. You just need to go inside.
And I feel like that's also something that hopefully will transform how we are dealing with each other too, right? Because like in this pre-COVID world where we come from, right? It's like, if I didn't want to deal with any of my own shit, I could always go outside of my house, of myself, find other people. And then when those people reflect back to me the same things I'm running from in myself, then I run away from them too.
Right.
And I leave those people, and it's damaging because like you leave those people feeling like, oh, what did I do wrong? When it's like, nah, maybe you did nothing wrong. Maybe it's this other person that is still constantly seeking things. And so it's interesting, I think. That's also what I love about your music. Like when I did get into your music, I don't understand half of it because I think you sing in Spanish and in English, or is that Portuguese?
I sing in Spanish and Portuguese and Creole. I'm learning to sing Tarab music, so that's Swahili.
Wow.
And I also I study a lot of flamenco. I don't really perform flamenco, but that has me dealing with Arab music as well. So I started singing Lebanese music and a little bit of Turkish. So
wow.
I just like whatever Black people sing wherever. And I kind of, maybe over the last decade, it became my obsession to just hear global Black music and to honor the fact that the diaspora is not just the continent, meaning West Africa and the Caribbean, but also East Africa, and just and understanding the value of hearing your intonation all over the world. Like Blackness is vastness. Aboriginal people are a part of Black history and Indigenous history. Black people are part of Indigenous history.
Thank you.
I know people don't understand what I'm saying, but they feel it. And I think that's where we have to at least start. We're coming from at least 200 plus years of being detached from our
of not just being detached, but also like being programmed to stay detached and divided and separated. And like all of these things that divide us are just have been constantly reinforced in these structures that were literally built on our backs with our blood, with our sweat, our bone. Like at this point, I was saying this like the whole pandemic, I was just like, when the world started to like rise up, I was like, oh, okay. So everybody finally understands what Black people have been talking about forever now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we've been living this. Like,
and as Americans, I do feel like we do have a responsibility to using our big ass mouths to remind everybody, like, my cousins' Black Lives Matter too. Like I was big on letting people know, like, I'm not going to keep talking about Black lives as an American issue when, Brazil's police force is way, way, way crazier than ours, right? I mean, thank God that there was like, conversation around SARS, but SARS is not new,
right?
So it's like we have to really tap into not just who our exalted people are, but who all of our people are. We have a way of only wanting to highlight the strongest or the most notable, as if like, all these people not popular. But if somebody mess with your cousin, you're supposed to get that man too. You're supposed to make sure your family's good. And I think we have to honor that responsibility. So when I sing in different languages, I feel like that's at least what I know how to do. I want to make sure that that I know who you are too, that you didn't just have to know who I am. I met some of my best friends from Brazil singing in Portuguese in Japan. So, you find your family in the strangest places if you want to communicate with them, and I want to communicate. So,
yeah, I've known you for a long time. I've watched you like really evolve. I think I've actually known you for like almost 20 years now.
I know. I don't know how we look. We don't allowed to say anything like that in public. But yeah, we met when we were like not even 20.
Yeah, we was teenagers.
And we not no 40 years old, okay?
Almost. It's okay. It's okay. Cause like apparently, this is also it. Like I'm finding that this is the sweet spot to me. Like this post 30 life is the sweet spot.
Well, I've loved life. I didn't start enjoying life until I turned 30.
Yeah. Right? Because we're not gonna talk about that.
No, but it's true. Like, when you reach a level of I'm not really here for you and you and you.
Right.
You learn how to do it better with every year of your 30s where I'm not really here for that. So,
right. You find out
that people are rejecting them at the same time. Like, it's cool.
I want to ask, like, where did this whole trajectory start from? Like, from then to like being this, outspoken, lively teenage girl that I met a long time ago, and then like I knew you was into music, but I didn't know the extent until like later on. It's really also funny to me to see like how there is this like it just brings me back into universal stuff where like we met at this point in time, right? And literally I can't even count how many people I met at that time that like through my own journey and not really being in circles, I still have come back to crossing paths over and over with these same people from like over the last 20 years. Like, damn, I knew you when we were teenagers. We ain't know shit. Like, look at you now, like crazy. So I know, like, how did you get into this trajectory, like music wise? What brought you into music, and like, how did you get to this place of like, I'm traveling the world and making that connection in your pursuit of it? And don't worry about it. You can answer it as however you want to answer the question. This is a very free form show. There's no rules here.
Yeah. No doubt. Well, what happened was like around the time we met, I was formulating a lot of this, but didn't even know how to articulate what I was doing yet. So I was at Oberlin, and there was no jazz vocal program. There is now because I made a lot of noise about there not being really multidisciplinary vocal options. And I didn't come up singing opera. I came up singing jazz and listening to blues and studying. I was already singing my whole life. I was performing, I was dancing, I was singing already. So I was accustomed to that world, but it's different now. We really changed the game, because when we were in school, you didn't want to tell your mother, I'm a dance major, I'm a music major, that wasn't really it,
Right. Because we were coming up in a time when like if you were like, I want to be an artist, yeah, and if you said I want to be that, like it's not a real job. You can't.
Right. And we made it a real job. We made it so that these kids don't have to be questioned. Nobody has to question them when they say they want to go to Parsons now. Nobody has to think twice about them choosing to go and pursue a career in the So I was still real timid when you met me about it. I was learning to sing in Portuguese because I was singing jazz, and I just knew I didn't want to sing standards. I didn't want to be somebody else. My mother always told me, you can't sing like other people. Like, don't do that. So I knew I wanted to sing in other languages. I knew that part from college. But I didn't realize that it was going to take me beyond like jazz and bossa nova or maybe salsa. And I also was singing Orisha music in college. And that was really how my whole spiritual life opened up, is because I was told to sing cantos for el legua. And this is before I had any real relationship with anything to do with Lukumi. I hadn't really considered that. I'd always, my family's Black and Puerto Rican, so I always had a close enough connection to understand, but not in detail. And, so when you met me, I was like just experiencing myself.
No, as we all were, like it, and it's
like,
I'm
just getting there.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is also the beauty, I feel like, of this time in life, where like some of us, no matter where you bloomed or like how you blossomed, like you come into this understanding of like the thing that lets you transcend into, oh, I'm not here for that, for this, for that, and like know what is here for you and what isn't for you is understanding that it's a journey. So it's all right that we used to like be timid and not know how to really, because like I still don't know how to articulate half the art I want to put out into the world, but like just the process of doing it and pursuing it, I think, is what opens up your mind and your spirit to understand like this is a marathon. There's no reason, like I don't have to run faster than anybody else or keep up with anybody else. My pace is fine for me. You know what I mean? I think that's an important part. Like that's something I really do like about when I was looking through your YouTube for like videos to make a playlist with. I didn't see a lot of videos, but I don't
have a lot on YouTube.
A lot of videos. but I did find a lot of like live performances. But then you had this beautiful, I was watching like a proposal for a thing you were doing in Cuba for like 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, that was really, that was in 2018. And before I even get into that, what I love about what you just said, you know, about the discovery is like, you know, we are a rare, we're a rare moment in time where we know what life was like before everything was digital. Like we are in between an analog and a digital world. So we also appreciate time in a very different way. Time isn't just about instant for us in our hearts. We want things to have more longevity. We want to be able to execute faster, right? Because that is that millennial part. We want to be able to get it done. We want our, you know, StreamYards and everything to keep it pretty, but we still value the time and dedication and devotion. You know, we still have that like Olympian mentality of, and my best friend said it this morning. She was like, you know, my work isn't about, she was talking about her work. I feel like this is really about all of us. Like she said, my work isn't about a piece. My work is about the body, the entire body. And, you know, just even, you know, coming on and seeing you reviewing a few of my songs, it's like, that feels way better than when I have to think about, oh, it's a video, it's this, it's a that, because no, it is I'm a fine artist. I'm a performance artist that focuses on a more, like a more fine art timeline. So, you know, I think that's the benefit of, you know, giving ourselves the time to cultivate, to make those connections, to build all these relationships you've built all over like the last few years, and to solidify yourself. And, you know, people don't quite value that the same way, but I think that that's the benefit we bring to time right now, is that we can remind people like, no, you want to be a little bit more than 15 seconds.
Right. I feel like we value the process. We still value process, right?
Yeah.
Like there are all these things that make it so easy for you to, again, accomplish whatever you want to happen right now instantly can happen. But then it makes you, at least for me, it's made me question like, well, yeah, I could do these things quick, but will they still be good?
Yeah.
Will the quality still be there? And like quality, I've always been a quality person. You know what I mean? I like vintage. My whole house is full of vintage stuff because like it's just, I need something that's sturdier. I know that it's worth the investment of time or money to get something that's going to last, or to create something that's going to last. And I think that's also something I've seen specifically with you, but something that I with this series of shows where I'm like, yo, come as you are, because it really there are a couple things, right? So all these tangents at once. So one thing is that like I really want to capture the fact that we are whole people, and it's okay to be a whole person now. Like,
yeah, I literally got home just in enough time. This is how I was outside today.
Yeah, like that whole person vibe. Like I love the to me, like that's one of the things that was very revealing about the pandemic is the way that many of us have confused our comfort with like the actuality of things, like the comfort of reality versus the actuality of what's happening in reality. Like I don't know, there's so much being revealed, you know what I mean? It's like things that were hidden or revealed, and it's giving us this time to like really reflect on like, well, what do we want to take forward? You know what I'm saying? What are the molds that were created that actually should last? And I think like one of the things that needs to end is this whole idea that we really accept people, right? Like we accept the wholeness of everyone's, right? Flaws, love me, flaws and all, unconditional. But like a lot of people don't understand what unconditional means. If you
people would think that call somebody toxic and then that's fine, but we're all toxic. I'm like, if you're not alkaline, you toxic. So
right. Or like you know, and like the current trend of like the importance in it, and I'm not saying that mental health, specifically Black mental health, is not important or has never been important, but now it seems like a trending topic, right? Because everybody is focused on our mental health. How do we transition from being social animals to being like still remaining social but not fall victim to like isolation anxiety? You know what I'm saying? Because we find ourselves changing, and you can't call somebody toxic but also say I care about your mental health, right? Because the toxicity only increases when you're like, oh, you're too much. Like, let somebody start displaying some mental health things, they're gonna be like, I can't really deal with you because you too much and blah blah blah. We'll push that away and call it toxic, but not recognize, yo, it's also kind of fucking toxic to act like you care when the reality of it is like, nah, you really don't. You don't have the capacity for that, and it's okay to like admit that you don't have the capacity for
absolutely, absolutely. And I think that that's more of what we need to tap into is, you know, we have to be careful of continuing trauma building. You know, we don't want to build our relationships on trauma. We do need to be able to release and also be able to deal with our own shit. So, you know, sometimes you're gonna have to let somebody know what you come to the table with. In any type of relationship, but at the same time, you know, I don't know. I feel like I've always been like socially awkward, and you listen. When social media began, it was like the most destructive thing in the world for me because I hate having to impress. Like, I don't like that. I don't like that keep people's attention thing. I mean, I know how to keep people's attention doing my work, but I don't like feeling that energy. So I got really weird for a long time, and I realized, oh, I'm only feeling weird because I'm doing this not for me, but for you or for somebody else.
right.
I say a lot to people in the last few months, like, you know, our relationships are all about our relationship with ourselves. And you're not ever experiencing anyone toxic without experiencing what's toxic in yourself. You're not ever experiencing anybody else's pain without experiencing something about your relationship with pain. And how do you deal with it? Because it's really problematic to dismiss people when times are tough. I have a hard time dismissing people at all, and I'm learning the difference, you know, like to keep myself safe. But I also think that, you know, that has less to do with how people treat me or how I need to be treated, but how am I going to show up, you know?
Right. And how you treat yourself too, because how you show up for others.
Right, because I'm like, if I'm not available, I can't act available. I can't present as a, you know, and I want to be mine right now. I make it very plain. Like, I'm living in a world where I want to make sure that I'm taking care of my needs. I don't want anybody to think that the problems of me or my being are something you want to judge me for. Because I'm not going to, because I'm going to judge you too. And that's because we're all going to have it. And nobody's above it. And there's this weird thing in our culture right now, especially Black people, who think that articulating something makes them better than somebody else. And that shit is real lame. It's real lame.
Oh my God. Speak on that. Because, see, it just ties to what you were saying earlier. You were just like how social media was just so detrimental. It was like that it still is like that for me. Like, I am not a person that has a long time ago, I just decided I am not going to pretend that I don't feel things that I feel. And you're not going to, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to tell me that in a space that is supposed to be for me, that I can't express myself. Now, I understand if I invited you to that space and you felt okay, but like, if it's my space, it's like if you come to my house and you don't like the vibes of my house, you don't stand in my house and curse at me about it. You could leave. Like, nobody invited you. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like social media was like, everybody suddenly got a house next to each other and all the doors and windows were open. And like, instead of us being like, yo, bro, maybe I should just like put a fence up around my house. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have to see the stuff I don't want to see.
I mean, even the algorithm,
but that fence is hella problematic too. Because then that's all you see. It's a
Right.
weird.
You know, I think this year, because it really hit me in the head on a level, like I can't go any further with this, you know, like I can't build my story with this thing. I much rather conversations. I much rather work with websites and people who have developed a plan of action than to just let everybody be responding. I think that's just a very unhealthy way of living on all of our nervous systems. But, you know, I feel like the good thing about it is you know, it kind of forced me to get all the way into my music because I did not know how else I was gonna ever find a space that couldn't be taken from me or couldn't be valued according to like what's the flavor of the month. And you know, some of the videos you played, they're a few years old. Some of those, you know, actually that footage, a lot of the footage I shot myself. You know, so much of my music experience is about showing up for myself, and I'm happy that people appreciate it. I'm so thankful for all of my fans and everybody who supports me internationally. But I also know that that experience is about when I know that there's not necessarily an audience, am I going to still sing? Am I still going to show up? And I
Mm,
think social media, in a weird way, made a lot of people younger than us forget that they have to do something for themselves, and it
right,
can't be built around that. And you know,
right.
it because it's draining. It's so draining, and I'm enjoying writing again. Like this is why I love singing global music, because when I can't write, I can sing songs and sing about perspectives that have so much more to do with what's going on inside than what's going on in 15 seconds online.
Yeah,
Or
and I feel like the sound. I've been this year. I've also been like uh learning more about sound therapy
Mhm.
and those types of things, and I find like that is also like such a beautiful way. Like I know that there's days like if I can't write, like I'll be stuck on a painting or something. I'll just make sounds. And sometimes I do find myself singing in other languages, but like it's more because of the sounds that like resonate in my body. Or like I was getting a tattoo on my back a couple months ago, and there were just some real painful spots, and I would like hum in
Yeah.
my chest cavity, and I could feel as I changed the note or the resonation of my voice, I I would feel it alleviating the pain in the spot. Like like every sound corresponded with a different part of my body, and I like as I
It
made
sounds
these
like
sounds.
you're using Brahmin's breath and you didn't even know it.
You said what?
It sounds like you're using Brahmin's breath and you didn't even know it. So, with Wombs of Wealth, I talk a lot about the relationship between the reproductive system and, or your womb chakras, your root, sacral, and solar plexus, and your throat chakra or your thyroid, and how your hormone balancing and rhythms are all connected to, you know, your jawline, your pelvis, and your voice.
Yeah.
How important it is to voice all of your emotions fully, to not have certain things concealed, to not have to isolate only to your happy sounds,
Hmm.
and also not to give your happy sounds away all the time, because we tend to share our joy with others more than with ourselves. You know,
Hmm.
so, Brahmin's breath is actually a technique. Like when you make that hum, that it's like a pain reliever and also a pleasure acknowledgement. So, you know, you make that same sound when you're hurt that you would make if something tastes good or felt good, right? You're
Yeah.
acknowledging, and your nervous system is acknowledging that there's peace when you make that sound. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Oh snap! All right. Hey, I knew there was more to it.
Yeah, like it's beautiful just how much sound is medicine, and I also talk about hollering from the womb a lot, and the importance of hollering and of screaming, and also of sensual hollering and like sensual coos and giving them to yourself, and not reserving certain sounds for external lovers. Like no one should be a better lover to you than you are. So before someone else gets to hear all those sexy things, like, you need to know what's inside of you, what you're capable of.
Right. And that also like connects to just like when we think about, you know, the conversations, some of the larger conversations that were starting to happen, or that I did see starting to happen at some point, is just like that also addresses like intimacy and communication, sexual communication and intimacy, right? When you get with a partner, and I know women, I also know men who are like very unknowing of their own bodies and their own pleasure, right? Because I know for one, and I'm not ashamed to say this, I didn't learn how to masturbate with my own hands until I was like 29 and the TSA had confiscated my vibrators. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, I don't know what to do. And I had to teach myself how to enjoy my body. And that's something that changed my whole life, because from that point on, I was then able to communicate to others, oh, I don't like to be touched like that. I don't like, I like, here, put your hands here, or do this. And I think that, you know, that number one, like just the larger issue of how we never teach women to take pleasure in their own bodies. Like,
when our body is the only type of body that is made for pleasure.
Right? It's made for procreation, but it's also made for pleasure, guys. Like, and
our clitoris is literally God saying, I ask a lot of you. I'm going to ask you to do some pretty extraordinary, extraterrestrial things here.
Like, here's an orgasm.
Have fun.
Man.
We're talking about that tonight over sensual celibacy. We have a conversation.
Oh my gosh! Yes,
you're gonna have to join us sometime.
I will. I'll pull up. I'll pull up tonight. Matter of fact, I'm not doing it. I'm like home very much. Like I've been very, especially like as the year winds down. This last week of the year, I realized this is probably the first holiday week where I didn't have a job. So like I've always been that person where I'll work year round, every holiday of the year. And then, you know, Christmas through New Year's, I usually work like till Christmas Day. And then I take off the day after Christmas until like the first week of January. And like in many retail stores, I got yelled at all the time for it, because you're not supposed to, you know, retail a service. Y'all know we don't take vacations till February. Like
that's the same for the music industry. You gotta wait until after nobody's looking.
Exactly. You gotta wait till everybody else is done having fun to have your own fun. I'll just be like, nah, fuck that. I'm going, right? And so it was just interesting to like see the contrast this year to like, yo, the only work I really was obligated to do was to myself this whole year. Recognize that and settle into that, and how hard it is to like break away from that. How hard it was breaking away from the framework that's already been laid out of like this idea that we have to always work so hard all the time just to survive. Not even like, we're not even talking about living comfortably, but just to survive. Is like, wait a minute, I've been living just as comfortably this whole ass year, doing not as much for others. What?
Yeah, I kind of freaked out. You know, I like to do some rituals around my receipts and check how much money I spent and understand the difference between, you know, sometimes we'll get an idea that we don't have money and we just need to realize what it costs to exist. And realize, oh, well, I obviously had more than this if I spent this, right? Just little ways to remind myself that my time is valued more than the money will actually prove in most cases. But this year, you know, I probably lived better than I've ever lived on what I would consider, I mean, any other year in my life, this would have been a poverty amount of money. You know, I would have seen myself in detriment. And I'm like, I wasn't in detriment. I wasn't in no detriment. I left all of my gigs. I had no steady income. I had to build businesses, which meant I had to invest in businesses. Right. And I got finessed on anything. No, I did not go on no trip. I could have afforded to if I wanted to, but I had to think about the long game. And you know, on this day, as we, you know, are ending this year, I'm just thankful, like, you are in your own home. We are safe in homes.
Right.
God bless this.
This was not it last year. Like,
better than a lot of people right now. You know, anything. I've never felt like I was able to say, all right, well, I might not have a ball, but I could take care of myself for the next quarter. With so much less, with like so much less than I we have.
So much. It's like I also feel like this has been a MacGyver year. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like where you figured out, oh, how what I have works for me. How what like it really made you take stock just every day of like, okay, I can't go out and get a job, but I got these skill sets and I can apply them in these ways, and like really, really make you understand. It's like, yo, but actually, I'm pretty fucking okay by my I'm okay outside of this. Because it's a weird thing. I don't know. You've been walking in your spiritual path, for a very, very long time. I just really came to this surrender. I like gave up last year because like last year until I began this year homeless. Technically, right? I didn't have my own house. I was sleeping on my dad's couch. And the ceiling fell in, and he got sick, and I couldn't live in the apartment. It was like all this crap. So this was right before the lockdown, the first lockdown. I'm in Texas. Everything I thought was gonna happen is not. I have no job to go back to. I have no house to go back to in New York. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I just like surrendered, and I was like, I give up. I have no answers. I don't even like. And so here we are now at the end of the year. It's like, damn, I still feel like I need to surrender some more. Like I don't even understand how this manifested, but like I can also look back and be like, well, damn, I wasn't as bad off as I thought I was, and I had way more skills than I thought I had, and that's probably, that MacGyverness is what has allowed this, like, is what is allowing 2021 to happen. I think like people really being able to understand and truly value not just like the physical things that we have, but like all of the inherited knowledge that we have that like we have been taught to ignore for decades, centuries. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like even this whole right now, there's a very big push of people that are returning to they're more like to more cultural, spiritual roots instead of like staying very orthodox or like, the big three, right? Like there's more people coming back to indigenous spiritual practices. I find that interesting. How do you think that has like, how do you think that's gonna go?
Well, I mean, so well, there's two things going on. Like I'm always excited to see diaspora spirituality, diaspora arts being acknowledged and studied and learned. But we have to always be careful of trying to practice anything. I'm a big proponent in letting people know whatever you care about, learn the history of. Like learn the history of it too, because if you don't see the history, you might not see yourself repeating it. So in a lot of ways, people are reinventing the same false narratives around a lot of our practices. That could easily get rectified if people would just tap into the history. But I think that in general, I think we are global people, and Blackness is vastness. So it's only going to continue to expand as technology has allowed us to actually connect with how connected we are to a wider world, and that history is not in the hand of one beholder. We are so privileged to not have to live in a world to say, oh, we have no idea who our ancestors were. That's just really not, you don't have to talk like that. You could do the genealogy. You might not find everybody, but you could get enough of the story to really venerate your own narrative, to know if 4 generations ago your family members were in this country or somewhere else. A lot of things we have the privilege and the responsibility for telling accurately. So I hope that push towards spirituality is genuine and not just not just the allure of spirituality, because spirituality is alluring, whether it's African traditional rituals or astrology, Wicca, whatever people are into. Magic is magical. It's enchanting. We all love to be enchanted, but there's a discipline that comes when we take on any religious or spiritual practice. And I think that that's the part that gets lost in like the Instagram introduction, which a lot of people
Mhm.
experience. That it isn't as simple as I believe it, I like it like this, it's going to work out like this for me. No,
Right. Like, no, it's not. It's like a lot of work. That's
yeah, it's alchemy. And yeah, I have been doing this a long time, but I'm still a non-initiate because to be, you know, as candid as I can be, you can go towards any spiritual system. But if you can't find a devotion with yourself, you're not gonna get as far as you need to get in anything. And I was getting pretty far in my own ritual path, but I hit a standstill, and I'm comfortable to let people know, you know, I hit a standstill because I had some bullshit with myself that I thought I was gonna skate over. I
Uh-huh.
thought I was just gonna be a supporting role in my own story and
Right.
accept that, you know, even on my santo, I can't represent my santo if I can't represent myself without my santo. Like that's what my santo teaches me. Like
Right. Like you're not even
you're not gonna win nothing with me if you can't see yourself winning it without me. You never needed me to get it.
right.
I was always here, but you didn't need to know that, and you don't. And I think that it's important, as you know, we don't black people don't look old. We rarely end up looking like the elders, and I think that that ends up being an issue too, where people don't realize, like, yeah, that there's certain roles, and I do feel a certain responsibility, not just to teaching anybody anything, because I don't subscribe to all of that. I don't know nothing. I'm
How do
making.
you deal with that? Because I get that a lot, and I think it's cute. I be like, oh, that's nice. You think I'm okay?
Well,
Well,
I
I
like to
can
tell
say,
everybody, like with Wombs of Wealth, everybody who ever worked with me, they know the first thing I'm going to say is thank you for trusting your womb, and thank you for trusting me to be a part of your work, because I'm not the thing.
right,
And I really don't take kindly to that. Also, like that, you know, black people got to check the classism, because we love to talk about how we're royal and all of these other things, but we got to remember that we learned a lot about classism from our Arab Euro connection, okay, and our own Afrocentric relationship with classism.
uh,
So, you know, wellness and a wealth of knowledge tends to end up being something of a luxury art, and something that people, you know, one thing that's a big problem in the spiritual world right now is a lot of young people think that the person who's charging $100 for a reading is the real reader and not
right.
the and the scammer. You know, like they don't know because they haven't done anything to actually tap all the way in. So that is kind of
Well, even on the opposite end of that, where people will come across somebody who's genuine, and just because it's offered, like I always had a thing where I don't go to psychics. Like I never go to psychic people, but the few times I've ever gone to a psychic is because they literally walked up to me and say, "Yo, and just started having conversations with me." And so that was like, okay, the fact that you came and sought me out to give me this message lets me know that you're real, right? I could seek after whatever I want, but it's not always going to be the real thing. But whatever's meant for me is going to find me. That's always been my objective. And, way to beat scammer, because I didn't know what I was doing. So anyway, the thing I find is that even as other people, I've seen people like get into their readings, get into their ministry or their spiritual power and their path, and like they will offer their services and be like, yo, just show some appreciation. And so the appreciation is a thank you. That thank you is always welcome, but like $5, $10, like people will actually take the real thing and like devalue it.
Oh,
Because
absolutely. It's like me and my god sister were just talking about this. You know, people are out here paying, I don't know what, for readings. You know, I do womb readings. I don't read tarot in general. I don't want to know your business, and I don't want to talk about your business. All I want to do is help people deal with their own relationship with themselves. and utilize their relationship with their guardians in that way. Like understand that the guardians are there because we're full of shit and they're here to help us.
Right. It's gonna help us navigate this bullshit that we try.
I'm so tired of people thinking that they're above.
Like, nah, you're not though. Like,
you know, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because a lot of people are being glamored. Spirituality is a when we talk about a vampire, the whole idea of a vampire is someone who can glamour you, someone who can just allure you to do something like that. So I think character is the most important thing to bring to spirituality, especially in times like this. I do not seek people out. I do not seek people out. I don't really. I don't peddle no readings. I definitely don't depend on paying my bills with readings. I take a payment for my own spiritual cleansing as well, because I'm engaging in other people's energy. I have to know that I'm protecting my own state of mind and state of being when because dealing with womb work, you deal with heavy information at times. But
yeah,
I'm not here to build my life off of other people's problems. No, if anything, I tell my clients all the time, I'm not going to give anyone more than 4 readings a year. You can't come to me but a quarter, because we're not doing this. I work hard to make sure that I give you a timeless message. You shouldn't really come back to me.
Like, this much shit, only so much can happen in 3 months. Like, I don't know. You know
right.
I'm like,
I can't be playing that game with you. I don't want to go through week to week with you. And I don't need money for that. I don't think that is growing you or me into the stronger character. And I really think that, more than spiritual systems that everybody wants to run towards, because they are all beautiful, we should all learn the history of them. That should be our responsibility, to learn them in our own way, and just to be knowledgeable and articulate about our own shared ancestries, as we are not one thing. Nobody Black is from one place. So
right at all.
We need to be able to have healthy conversations around what it means to be Black and Indigenous, because we still laugh at people who say, oh, I have Indian in my family, but Long Island is full of Indigenous people. Like, that's what the Hamptons are. So you can't keep
right. People didn't understand
that.
I grew up, we grew up in New York, so a lot of folks don't understand when you have like and I don't know, I won't speak for anybody else, but I know that, like, for me, there's certain places that my spirit just has a natural disdain for, because that wrong was what has happened there, and it's still happening, right? The Hamptons is this place where, like, people have money, came through, they took over, but there's a lot of displaced indigenous people that still live there. And they live in fucking poverty.
A lot of them also live in Harlem. A lot of those families, a lot of Harlem girls that everybody thinks are, Puerto Rican, they actually just sort of indigenous from Long Island. And we take for granted how intricately woven our stories are. We're never just of Yoruba without being from Sierra Leone. We're never just Congos without having something to do with East Africans. We can't keep allowing someone else's version of our story to continue to compartmentalize us. And I think that we have to be very careful not to, like I always say, I'm sure I have a Nigerian ancestry somewhere along the line, but I understand that as a practitioner of Lukumi, that's a privilege. There's nothing that says I'm Nigerian and that this is my birthright. So this is a science that I'm proud to be inducted. Just the same way if you went to a university, you had to work hard, and people feel entitled. Sometimes we treat Blackness like this entitlement to just play with people's culture. And dibble and dabble and take what we like and leave what we don't and receive what we want and not. And, we need to treat ourselves with more regard. That's alchemy that we have.
I really, really feel like, that's one of the things, or at least I hope that that's one of the conditions that we start to break, that we're breaking right now as a society, that, like, having all this time, not only apart from each other, but also away from the influences, such heavy influences on who we're supposed to be or how we're supposed to handle things of our own culture, right? I have a funny relationship with the word entitled, right? Because I have been called entitled, and the way entitled has always been used as a Black person, I'm like, that's such a horrible thing. Like, it's such a ha, right? But then there's also this adoration, like attachment I have to that word, because we are entitled, right? I feel like Black people are entitled, and we're not even, the things that we're entitled to aren't even unreasonable asks sometimes. And we have also been, we've been conditioned not just to look at each other and be like, well, what makes you think you're entitled to safe housing in a pandemic? You know what I'm saying? I had people tell me I deserve to be homeless during a pandemic. And I'm like, oh, but yeah. And it'd be the same people. And in one instance, it was the same people that was out in the street talking about Black Lives Matter. You dig what I'm saying? So I'm like, how am I not entitled to a safe place to exist on this earth? How am I not entitled? You know what I'm saying? Like, so entitlement's a tricky word. I think that hopefully it lands on. I feel like Black people are
deserving of a safe place every day of your life. Everyone deserves clean water and a roof. Everyone. I think entitlement, for me at least, has more to do with assuming someone deserves something over or access to something that someone else doesn't have access to. So for me, entitlement is more about people feeling, for this year, let's just use this year in the pandemic, the idea that my mental health, I deserve to go into someone else's country and have the vacation that I need because I don't have a job. But I need, that's entitled as a mother. Do you deserve a stable mental health option? Yeah, you do. You deserve that. But you thinking that you having something that someone who's in a far worse position than you can't even get near. I'm always quick to, and I think a lot of my friends don't like this about me, or my peers at least. I'm like Hillary Banks, that's too aware that like it's fancy over here, and it's not fancy.
No. Right? No. Look, I'm right with you, because you see this.
I know that I have good things.
I'm just like that. You know what I'm saying?
But people don't like to have to acknowledge that, and then want to act like, so on top of having a good life, I don't have any children. I'm in a position where I'm able to take care of my family and live in a beautiful home, work on my art, still connect and be able to fulfill my business responsibilities. Like, I deserve this.
Right. You earned it.
I don't necessarily deserve more than this when I know that there's somebody who cannot feed their kids right now in my same city, nation, possibly on this block. You know what I'm saying? That is where we have to take some accountability, because we are very Eurocentric. I mean, we're American. We are entitled. Like, we have these levels of privilege that we are ashamed of. And I'm like, there's no point in being ashamed and ignoring that your privilege is fuck. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
We are the bougie Black kids.
Right, we're a generation, and this is also it. We're a generation of Huxtables. Nobody wants to
admit that there are a bunch of Vanessas, and Vanessa always thought she deserved more than she deserved. She always
either a Vanessa, you're a Denise, or you're the older sister who lives her life and never comes back. You know what I'm saying? You're Sandra. You're like very duty bound, right? You're staying in I can't break free of this mold. This mold works for me. Or you're Denise, who's like, I'm just going to explore all the possible options because I got all these choices. Or you're Vanessa, who does what she's supposed to do, but also knows that like she's doing what she's supposed to do for her. She's not doing it for anybody outside of her.
She's gonna mess up the plans of action for everybody.
Right, and deserves the things that you work for. I think there's like that was like the early in the COVID world, there was like a meme going around talking about how or not just a meme, but lots of people, this is the second pandemic that we've ever faced. And people were like, what the fuck are you talking about? 100 years ago? And they're like, no, racism was the first pandemic. It's like, duh, right? Duh. I have no idea where that thought was going. Damn it. It was good while I had it.
I love that we're just literally having I haven't talked to you in a long time.
This is important. You know what I mean? When I really sit down, one of the things I've taken account for, there's an old show that I love. It's still around, I think, but it's called In Conversation, where it just matches like two really esteemed artists or people at the top of their field. And these two people just sit down and they have a conversation. And they talk in front of an audience, because I feel like I'm always the people I've been connected to, I've had the honor to come up through or know in my life's journey over the last 20 years or so. Like, every person I've been connected to that has been a part of my journey this far has taught me so much, and doesn't even understand how them being their full selves encourage me to be my full self and push myself further. And like, therefore it's like those days where people are like, yo, you just go to, I don't know. You ever just look around and realize, oh shit, my friend just won a Grammy. Oh shit, my friend is on the Oscars, or my friend just won or my friend, like, I know these people in real life. And I have such great casual conversations with people. You know what I mean? When we just sit around, we talk artist to artist. Plus, I also think about how Black people, I've been thinking about a lot this year, how Black people have conversations amongst themselves. And then we have a conversation for mixed company. And then we got a conversation for outsiders out. You know what I'm saying? Outsiders completely. And I kind of feel like I've been obsessed with story. I've always been a storyteller. I know I was named a griot. Somebody called me a griot way, way back, and other people, so I think about story and how important it is. And I think like just cataloging stories, getting a natural like shot of who you are right now in time matters. Absolutely. You know what I mean?
I value it. And I think it's really a skill and a mindset that will catapult this like Aquarian Renaissance period that we're entering. And I don't know, I've been so hard on myself for so many years, weighing myself against other people's ideas of time. And now I'm just starting to really be able to reflect and sit and give thanks for commitment, and what a great opportunity that we're creating, not just for ourselves, but for everyone, in being able to convey ourselves now. I feel like there was this weird veil over so many of us for the last decade where we didn't see each other. And 2020 had me reconnecting with people that I felt like I was like this close to.
Yeah, but you were really like,
we just ended up in different worlds in the same city and all this other stuff, because the values shifted so much, and we are all in our own way, just like showing what devotion and dedication looks like beyond the external. So yeah, it's important that people talk and like just be human. And I appreciate it. Like, it's cool to talk about your work. It's nice to talk about your work, but it's also nice to be treated like a whole person and not like a brand. I'm not a brand person.
Right. I can't stand that culture. That is
I'm good for it.
That part of social media, right? Like, we were talking earlier about like the devastation of social media, but also like what it does to an artist to then have to become a whole machine for you to still make the art that you were making before. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be a brand is not the same thing as being an artist.
No, and I was in a conversation earlier. Being being an artist is not the same as being a singer, and also being an artist is not the same as being an entertainer. You know, so we have to sometimes remember that the way that the world on a screen puts us makes us really flat, and we're not supposed to have these blueprinted duplicate experiences, and in a lot of ways algorithmic living makes the world not know what to do with individuals, and
exactly, in a world that already doesn't know what to do with individuals.
Right. But I feel like our arts industries knew how to at least finesse the individual. And I mean, I took a course with Clive Davis School of Recorded Music, and a lot of the professors in this certification class were former, music industry execs. And they were all talking about, yeah, we might have been programmed to listen to certain music before, but there was somebody who could quality control and make sure that the best out of 2,000 records was what you heard on the radio, not just the access of everything. And I had to remember I'm a singer. I had to remember I'm a singer, I'm an artist, and I'm always going to be entertaining, but I'm not an entertainer. I'm not going to just do whatever the algorithm likes. I'm not going to do whatever for likes. I will accept that, I've had to talk to myself so much this year about my name, and realizing like I'm not supposed to be accessible, available to everyone. I'm happy
to have to be accessible to everyone.
Right. I'm happy to have this conversation with you, not because, oh, it's nice to do an interview. No, because we're like real friends and we've really known each other. And
like we're actually
from like Brooklyn.
We're conversing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it is.
On a Friday.
It matters.
Burning it down, and like we did little girl things together. So it's like we did the hood rat things with the hood rat friends. So
see, guys, it does get better. You do grow out of being a hood rat. Like, you grow.
I still value how.
Yeah, that hood rat cat is still like back here somewhere.
Not knowing who we were gonna be, but being in company with people all this time, or being connected to people all this time that have chosen to be steadfast for all these years, regardless of whether it was on trend, on brand. We could have turned ourselves into how many other people instead of ourselves. So I'd rather have a conversation like that. I love Zora Neale Hurston, and I think the recording of human history and the sounds and the manners and the just realities of Black people is so important. So I'm glad that you do this. Like,
thank you.
It's another one of those things, like what you're doing, it means something today. It's powerful today, but it'll be so much more powerful tomorrow. And so many people have this YOLO, like there's no tomorrow, but there's always a tomorrow.
There's always a tomorrow. There's always gonna be a tomorrow, even if we ain't here to see it.
For it, and you have to decide today. What do you do that will matter tomorrow? And I appreciate that you're even compiling the history of your contemporaries like that. Like, that's really smart.
Thank you. Yeah, like it was Juneteenth so the overall project is called the Juneteenth Project. In the long run, I want to create the largest living historical archive of Black life in the world. Period. I want to talk to people from all across the diaspora. Like, I want to talk to all people of all diasporas, but first and foremost, I start with Black contemporaries, because I think it's much more important to me anyway. And I make no apologies for it. I think that whatever Black people choose to do right now is right. Like, and that's not like encouraging violence or extreme action, but it's understanding that like us minding our own businesses is like just minding your own business. It's the same thing as minding your own business. You know what I'm saying? Like digging for that treasure, no pun intended, right? Digging inside of yourself, minding those.
No, it's all like I live in that. I live in that lately. Like, no, I gotta dig inside myself. I gotta look and see. And you do too. If you want something to do with me, you need to know me from the depth. So that's what I meant when I'm like, now you know me from the depth of a long time ago, and I'm not here to be available to no flavor of the month. I don't want to be treated like that. I'm not going to, 2021 has me very taking a lot of humble authority over my story and realizing I don't need to be understood. If you
wasn't like that phrase too, humble authority.
Yeah, man, because I don't want to leave my story subject to trivial values. Like, I think that goes against, that dishonors my name. It dishonors how I was born. It dishonors who named me. Like, to give myself away. And I had to really learn that. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see these ideas, all of these works that we're in the middle of, what the next 10 and 11 years will look like, because we're all on the things that we've dreamt and manifested on our own. Like, I think it's a really exciting time, and I'm excited for it. I feel like there's like a veil that just got pulled off of everybody's eyes, and
something ripped open. Like a whole theme in the universe just like opened up real wide. You know what I mean? There's from the cosmic aspect of it, right? How like the veil between this plane, the next plane of existence, all these existences that are occurring at the same time. When we talk about time as a relative thing, where like how we can all exist simultaneously yet experience time in different measures, right? Like jazz, much like jazz, right? Shout out to Disney for Soul. I have to like
this movie. Everyone's talking to me about this movie every freaking day.
Have you seen it?
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it tonight. I've just been so busy. I have a single coming out on Friday. Like,
oh, that's exciting. We're gonna put a pin right in that and come back to it. But yeah, I recommend, you know what, because I'm a Disney kid. Like, I could try to fight it, but I'm a Disney kid, problematic princesses and everything. So my inner child just felt so much healing in watching the company that I grew up with, that literally never had my image on the screen at all, have an entire movie that was dedicated to my historical existence on Earth. I feel like I felt properly depicted. Like, I felt like the people looked like real Black people.
I gotta watch this tonight.
I felt like I knew some people, like the people in this movie that put this together. To me, it really was. It's a moment that we should not pick apart for things like, oh, well, the soul was blue. Why are all the souls blue? Like, shut the fuck up. It's a cartoon. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why the soul is blue. You know what I mean? It's iridescent, actually, if you was paying attention. You know what I mean? It ties together a lot of like little cosmic intricacies and gives you a lot to think about, but also makes you very much appreciate and think about the tie of art and life, and how they reflect each other, and how like jazz specifically, how jazz is like Black life in sound, because it's all about like knowing your part, listening to other people, finding your place, and going along with, like, being able to slip in and out and still make a beautiful sound that everyone can fully experience. You know what I mean? I've never.
Yeah, polyrhythmic music is just inherently soul music to me. Like, to be able to not play in time with someone else and create a whole new aspect of sound from that conversation, that to me is a spiritual experience. No matter what your denomination and comprehensions are, you are participating in a ritual at that moment. And That's why, I was just actually having a conversation about Fania All Stars and New York and Afro Latinos and what it meant, what it means that it's salsa as a Black and Latino experience in New York, and how, whether you spoke Spanish or not, there's certain songs that you can sing the horn line, every Black person, they may not know like Llorarás, but they know boom, boom, da, 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 like they and like there's
right, because there's some songs that like from you when you hear that first call, you're like it just automatically clicks in your brain.
Right. There's a conversation there, and you're a part of it. And polyrhythmic music just makes the listener also a participant. And our music. This is why I say so adamantly, like I'm not an entertainer. I'm always using music to communicate with the soul, then the body. And if you like it, you like it, but you're gonna feel it.
Right.
You might not know what to do with your feelings. I've had people tell me things like, just like literally feeling so much tingling in their womb or in their back, like real Kundalini stuff. And I'm like, I don't take credit for that, but that's because your spirit, my spirit and yours are talking. This ain't about me and it's not about you, but they are doing something. There's a real energy transfer. And, I live for us honoring those soul experiences. That's what keeps us young.
And that's also why I like soul, because what you were just talking about, there's a couple scenes where they depict this place that's called the zone. It's like, oh, this is where music, like you would see souls in this vast place, but then you would also see like people doing their thing in the sky. And it's like, there was a line he said, you know how a musician says, I'm in the zone. Like, this is what that means. And it was like a place where the physical experience meets your soul's experience, right? What you're experiencing outside, you feel it inside. You know what I mean? Like
that's what I do this for. Like, I need to have a outer body. I always tell myself to sing like there's no audience, like to forget about all of that, in the sense of like, if God was your audience, then present as clearly and concisely and as detailed as possible, like your love for God when you sing. And I feel like when I started to think like that and stop thinking about myself as a performer and presenting and entertaining, then I became an entertainer. Then it looked better. Then it felt better. It came together, but it wasn't because I was putting it together anymore. It was because I was surrendering. I was surrendering to it, to the spiritual work that.
I love, that's what, like, I miss that so much about stages. I know, like, I've performed live maybe 3 times this year. I did a couple performances online, and it was weird. Yeah, it wasn't the same, because I was like sitting here trying to read, but I didn't let myself feel. So it was a whole, miscommunication, but it still felt good when I could get into it. But boy, that feeling of just like being in a room and being able to freely feel around, like I'm like getting lost in what you're doing. And it's just so natural, that place of muscle memory, you know what I'm saying? Where your soul, like your soul's muscle memory takes over. I feel like there's a thing. I don't know. Does that make any sense?
It does. The only thing I'll say to that is that I realized over this year that same feeling that I gave to the stage, and that the stage for me is home. Like, I don't think I've ever really had a good relationship with that term. Never really feeling safe enough to call something home. It's different to have a house and know where you live.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I ever really felt home. And that's home for me. And when I had to watch all of my gigs and money get canceled, like, and a domino effect at the top of the year, I really started to go outside and sing to the trees. I really started to go outside and sing to my muerto or my spirits, to my ancestors. I really started to sing and acknowledge how much energy was around me that needed to hear and that I needed to show up for too. And I really felt like I got that home that I thought I wasn't going to get back to, because I mean, when are they ever going to let us go back inside and get on a stage, you know? So it really reminded me that, oh no, like, I'm a folklorist, and if there's no stage, then this open air is my microphone. Like, I'm gonna use it. Like, and even my neighbors would be like, "Oh, I knew when you were good because you would be singing," and I wouldn't even know that. I wouldn't even take that into account. But you know, I remember one of my neighbors had said, "Girl, I felt like I got food in the morning." What does that mean? And she said, "You was just in the garage singing." And I was like, wow, you know, like, yeah, home, the stage, the most beautiful paradise is inside of us if we ready to show up to ourselves. Right there. And I know I lived so long searching to go everywhere. And I'm thankful for the places I've gone and what I did. But, you know, my last trip to Cuba made it real plain to me. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to go because we have central celibacy soon. But my last...
No, all good. Because I definitely want to...
I'm going to...
I want you to talk about your single, too, before you...
Oh, yeah. I'm just watching time. But my last trip to Cuba, I was alone. And it was a very complicated trip in general. But one day... I wanted to go see my godmother, and I don't know. I told myself I could walk there, and I had all this gusto, like I know what I'm doing. And of course I get myself lost. And mind you, I pretty much only remember I speak Spanish in Cuba. Like, I can't even remember things until I'm there, and then, you know, you don't have any choice, so you're speaking Spanish. But so I'm getting by. I mean, but I still don't even know. I think I thought that my godmother's house was in one neighborhood, so I'm articulating that I need to get to Cerro, but I was not going to Cerro. Cerro was the other direction. It was a whole big mess. Long story short, after like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours of being lost in Cuba by myself, no phone.
What?
Yeah, because I was by myself. Like,
okay, all right, cool. But that's a cool. I mean, it's not about.
I had some, like, you know, idea of what I was doing, but I didn't really know how I was gonna get where I was going, and I had to literally, like, you know, so you can imagine, I'm chilling. And then I'm extremely nervous now. Now I am packed. Like, yo, bro, you're bugging right now. Like, you are lost in Havana. What are you doing, treasure?
Right.
Why are you here? You did not come from New York to get yourself lost and not even know what you're looking for. And I had to calm myself down and walk. Mind you, I didn't even tell my godmother I was coming, so nobody's even looking.
Nobody's even looking for you. Damn.
I am lost, okay? And I managed to calm myself down, tell myself I have to get there. I have to. I'm going. And when I tell you, I got to my godmother's house from a whole direction I'd never come from, that I never even knew. And when I pulled up on that house, they didn't even know I was in Cuba yet.
Wow.
Yo, it was almost like something from 1920 occurred.
Wow.
Like something else happened at that moment. Like, what it must feel like when you know you love someone and they leave and you have no idea if you're going to see them again. And then they just show up. That's how I showed up to my godmother. They didn't even know I was in Cuba.
Wow.
And I had been lost for like 2 hours. But I had to trust that I knew how to I had to get home. I had to trust myself enough to know where I belonged and that I was going to get there. And I literally found my way to this house. You know what I mean? And I say all that to say that I'm so glad that happened to me in 2019. I'm so glad that I had to dig that far into myself, because I could have just as easily got frustrated, called a cab, and gone home.
Right.
Like I could have bailed on
giving up. And he was like, nah, I gotta keep pushing. I'm gonna find my way.
Because at this point, not only, I mean, I was lost, I wasn't even sure I wasn't even sure. It's not like you could just pick up a cab in Cuba. Like,
right.
Nothing.
I've never been, but I'm gonna take your word that that's not the safest course of action.
I mean, not when you're somewhere where you don't know where you're at. Like, you don't even know where you're calling. You don't have an address. You know, there's no Uber. So it's like, I say all that to say, you know, I had to trust that I knew where I belonged and that I knew how to get to where I had to go. And that's really what that was for. I'll never be able to forget that I literally, on my own feet, found my way to my godmother because I needed to get to her. I needed to get home. I needed to be in her arms. I needed to follow through. I needed that. And that wasn't an experience that I was going to get through anyone else, you know? And I realized I probably went all the way to Cuba just to find that connection to myself. I probably went all the way there because I don't even think that they understood how scared I was an hour before I reached that house of I'm making a mess of my life. Like, I came down here like,
I don't even know what to do. Oh my God. I had one of those moments right before the pandemic last year. Because last year I decided, like, I had finally gotten to this place in my life where I had full-time employment. I had help, you know, I was on salary. I was in a good kitchen. Like, a bitch was happy. I could start taking real vacations. So I was like, you know what? I'm taking myself to Amsterdam. I went to see my mom, who had just had knee surgery. She's lived out there for I don't know how many years now. Right. So I get to stay in her apartment by myself. I'm thinking, I'm going to be cool. I go see her way out in West Bubblefuck where the recovery home is. Because, you know, they got great health care. If you have surgery, there's like a post-surgery place that you go live in, like mandatorily. You don't get sent straight home from the hospital. You have to go through your recovery, make sure you get your physical therapy. I'm like, yay, man, I need to move here. And that whole trip, I was like, man, I'm not gonna go home. I don't know if I'm gonna go home. And I took the bus from wherever she was at in the middle of the woods, and I start to like rush back to her apartment. I'm like, wait, why am I rushing? Like, who am I rushing back for? And I just took like the next, I don't even know. I turned my phone off and I went walking from Central Station, like all the way around. I found myself at some back road bar. You know, I'm looking for edibles. I'm looking for the dispensaries. I'm just looking to hang out because I'm an adult in Amsterdam finally by myself. No kids, no work. I could do what I want. I get to this bar. There's like 3 people in the bar. They're doing karaoke. And the girl was like, well, if you're going to have a drink, you're going to have to sing. Turns out she's from New Orleans. Somehow knew my mom. Right? Because she's also a singer and they work with the same keyboard player. So this girl took me out the next 2 nights. She took me to jam session after jam session. And I would get off the stage just like, I would just get up to sing. I would just feel like I didn't go there for any of that. You know what I mean? And it was a trip that allowed me to find like, oh, I can get lost in the world and I will always find myself. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Somehow I got a ride home after because the train stopped running at 12. So I was like, oh shit, how am I going to get home? And they're like, yo, I know you ain't even worried about that, right? You know, you riding with me, right? Like there were just so many things to make me say, yo, Joyce, stay here. But I had to come back because I got kids. I can't just abandon my kids like that, right? Contrary to popular belief, people, I don't abandon my kids. They know exactly where I was at. I was on vacation, okay? And that's a whole other thing. But so I come back to New York after missing my flight twice, like by accident on purpose. And I come back to New York and I come back to my job, and my job just after like at that moment, my job just reminded me exactly how much that's not the life I want to really live. Like I'm still not happy. Meanwhile, the next week I get fired. Like I knew I was going to get fired and I came to work anyway. Right? I get fired. And the week after that, I step in. The week after that, I got a new job. And since then, it's been me being lost in myself and still finding myself. Like,
Yeah.
it's a repetition of Amsterdam. But like these trips, I feel like we go on these trips. Our soul knows what we need. And as long as we're open to it, we're going to hear it. And as long as we follow it, we're going to be all right. Which reminds me, one of your songs is on a playlist that I paint to. The Open Road. Yep. I just like I had to mention that because I was like, I just heard it and I was trying to think of the name of it and I hear the melody in my head. And I was like, that song, I gotta mention it. But yeah, I have that on one of my playlists.
I'm so glad. So yeah. Open Road. I love that song. That song really is a prayer that I feel I was gifted in a conversation one night with Elegua, and I feel like I was trying to write a song for Elegua, and I just heard something tell me, you know, I opened the gate, so who's gonna open the road? You know, who, you know, and I was like confused, and then I just started saying, well, then I'm the open road, like. If you're the road opener, then I have to be the open road, right? If you're going to make a way for me, then I have to be able to take the responsibility of going and taking responsibility and initiative to get where I'm going. Not, you know, I think sometimes we like to give our responsibilities to God. To be like, Jesus take the wheel, but not like Jesus might have made the wheel. You know,
it crashed. Did you see the world crash?
You know, and I think that when it comes to anything divine, it, you know, even Jesus. You know, my relationship with Jesus is Jesus the homie because Jesus told you to trust yourself. Jesus didn't say trust me. Jesus said you need to trust your own relationship with God. You know,
right?
Jesus was a problem because Jesus taught people not to look for liberation in someone else, but to look for liberation in their relationship with God. So I feel all of the divine beings of all time and all spaces really deliver those messages. And I love that song. It carried me through a lot of stuff. It carried me through this year. I put it out. I was supposed to go to Carnival as I'm a big masquerader and I live for Mass. And I was supposed to be in Trinidad, and my health has been like a pretty crazy issue over the last 2 years. So I ended up not going. But one of my best friends is a designer, and she designed an all-white collection for Carnival Monday in honor of Obatala. And I thought that was so beautiful. So I pushed to put Open Road out. That was on February 24th. Yeah, February 24th. So I was very excited. But as we know, within 2 weeks,
the road
was not open. So that was like a crazy. I mean, and on a whole nother level, I went through some personal things even before the pandemic. So it's like that song. You know, I have this thing with songs that I write where they are in their own way spells, and they're the teachers that they're the lessons that I gift myself because I needed that song so much. Like I needed that song, and I didn't know I needed that song as much as I did because literally I put the song out and things kept closing. And I had to keep my position with myself that I'm not going to let other people make that valuation over my life or decisions over my life and know the road is still open. So I did decide to re-release it for the first. My homeboy did a really cool mix on it, and I was like, oh, this is nice. We should put it out. So we're having a rebirth because I never got a chance to really build off of that last year, and I love that I put it out. But it is 2021, and 21 is a Legua's number, and I feel like, oh no, it's cool. Like, we're gonna start this year off with that, and I really pray. Thank you for listening to it. I really just want people to listen to it. I've never felt like this about any of my songs before. Like, on everything I love, I just want everybody to have that song. And I hope it matters. I hope it really matters. And really
is this the same song coming out this Friday, or is it a different song?
Slightly different version.
Okay.
It's a whole re-release, so we have a whole new cover art. We're releasing also some merch to go along with it. So it was really just to make sure that I gave myself a real chance. If you're gonna make art and you don't think that it's worth putting in that extra effort, you probably didn't even need to make it. And I just couldn't imagine moving on to another song knowing that I never really had a chance to share it the way that I wanted. So I'm glad for everyone. I mean, I got some beautiful content out of it. People were dancing. I met a lot of cool people through the song this year, but that just told me that it's important that I push harder to make sure that more people hear it. I think it's something we all need to understand, is that, like, it's not simply, oh, I'm going to have the life I want to live, but like, no, like, you are the paver of the life you want to live. You are going to have to the life you want to live. You don't just go buy a ticket for the life you want to live. You're going to have to make a lot more than just an experience. You need to make it a lifestyle. You need to make it a lifetime. You need to make it something that is larger than your life, that you leave with that kind of energy. And I pray that long after I'm gone, that song is still there. I try to tell myself I want my songs to be sung 794 years after me.
Right. I want to leave a sound that echoes through the universe. Like,
yeah.
I feel as if it's more, it becomes, the longer we live on this earth, it becomes more and more important to always demand the recording of your existence. There's a quote, and I forget if it's Zora Neale Hurston or another writer, but it's like, it goes something like, there's no greater agony than that of an untold story. You know what I mean? And like, we've had enough agony, so I'm just gonna like sit here, talk to people, get their stories, tell my story, write my own story. I be going through my days, and sometimes I throw fits. I'm sorry, shout out to old Henny, because I was throwing a fit the other day, and I was like, I don't care, you think I'm a failure, everybody thinks I'm a failure, I'm just gonna give up. And he's like, yo, you write your own story. Like, I don't know what you want me to do.
And I love him for that too. He's never ever, I've never seen him a day of his life not being totally devoted to his own story. And I love Oheni for that. And I love every time that we do come together. I love watching him perform, because he's definitely the essence of perform for no audience. Like, he does not require anybody.
That's it. So, he doesn't need you to be there to do it.
And I love that about him. I learned so much from the way that he really holds space for himself. And yeah, I mean, I really just want that song to go as far as it can go. Like, I'm not even afraid to say it. I want this new version. I mean, it's almost the same. It's got a few more features vocally, and just a little bit of a change of the vibe, because I let one of my bandmates mix it. And I really do want to collaborate in these kind of subtle ways with people, just to make sure that we can hear all of the different little
I'm not gonna lie, I was contemplating in my mind what it would sound like to do an acoustic version.
Yeah, I'm open. I'm so open.
Guitar, that shit would be so beautiful. I think
I did a version right before, actually the day before it came out. I was doing a performance, and we did like a no music version with a bunch of kids, and it was so much fun. Like, the song can fit into so many different worlds, and having that Barasuwayo prayer really brings a lot of people together who might not know the same language, but that one part, you know, whether you speak Portuguese, whether you speak Spanish, whether you're from Africa, whether you're from New York, whether you're from California, everybody can connect in that Barasuayo. And I want to create that energy for this year, that we're all actually paving a completely new world together, and that everyone is of so much value, and that I want people to know that they're encouraged. Like, it is not supposed to be easy to be great. It's not supposed to be easy, but you are more than capable. So Open Road is reopening with the Open Road New Year to celebrate El Legua. I'm really excited about the cover art, especially. And we have some other treats coming out. The vinyl comes out a few weeks later. So we're just giving that song energy all year long in as many ways as possible. So please keep playing it. Listen to all of the versions of it. I am open to working with people and collaborating. I think that song I'm happy it's mine, but I really feel like it's ours, and I want to make sure that it just gets to as many people as possible. So I'm glad you're already listening to it.
Thank you. Yeah. I agree. I think we should push that out into the world. I know your time is coming to an end because you got stuff to do, and I want to tune into this. Where can we watch?
So every
how do we do this?
Every Wednesday, I have a Clubhouse discussion on sensual celibacy. I also have a handle on Twitter where I'm doing a lot of my writing aspects. But I really like the Clubhouse meetup because it's really a space for us all to talk about our own definitions. I personally am not a celibate that thinks that celibacy is about restriction and restraint. For me, it is about silkiness and abundance and luxury and lusciousness. And I want people to understand that spending time on cultivating a relationship with yourself is not a bad thing. Even if you are in a relationship, women have to be honored. Okay? Our bodies are alchemically the greatest source of wealth for a nation. Everyone benefits from a woman's wellness. So women have to feel safe to be able to set aside time for themselves. Even in
healthy. That's also just an aspect of a healthy relationship.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter whether you're celibate because you're alone or if you need a system. It might be a week. It may be a particular type of. It's not about other people's definitions. It's really about a celebration, and I treat celibacy as a celebration of self. It is not a restriction. So tonight we are talking. I'm going to put on some lingerie actually, and we're going to talk about how we make sure that our silkiness stays silky. We love WAP, and we want to, come into the new year with the best of our sex magic. Sex magic is all about alchemy and all about creating real manifestations in the world. It's not about controlling people. It's not about none of that. It's about, do you have dreams? Well, put that same ecstasy that you feel,
that same passion, and that
passion, pull it in and focus that in on something that you really want to manifest. So we're going to have our little fun time. If you could pull up, please.
I'm not on Clubhouse. Did you know that? I'm not on Clubhouse.
Well, I just started last week, and I started my little group. If I know it's only on Apple phones, but I still have probably an invite, so I'll invite you. And
how do you like Clubhouse? I don't know what it's about.
I like Clubhouse. I like it. They can put me on the commercial. I like Clubhouse because number one, it's just conversations. And people are meeting with like real connections. So like I said, like I have sensual celibacy. I'm also a part of a larger group that talks about Caribbean spirituality and carnival culture. I'm also a part of a great group with Yazara that she started on the turmoils of fibroid tumors and unmanaged reproductive issues within Black women's lives. So I love the intention that it's not just the hangout with the cool kids. I also love being able to see like rap niggas being ratchet as hell, like, and realize like, oh, I don't require that world. So I really like that. I like that you could be in the world you want to be in, but it doesn't have to be evaluated against one another. Like y'all could go, like there's a whole separate clubhouse for Thought Nation. I like to go over there just because I'm like, I'm cute. So let's see what y'all do. But I had a great conversation today about like Afro Latino music culture and Fania. And so it's nice to meet people where our hearts are, like where we're all passionate about things. I'd rather that, because social media is so superficial about looks and how well the content is put together. And this isn't content. This isn't content. It's actually very old school. It makes me think of when we were using like
psychic days.
Yeah, like those phone. I forgot what you used to do.
The
like
chirps?
like those call. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember the phrase anymore, but it makes me think of something from when we were teenagers, when you could like dial in and do like the phone party.
Oh, the chat room.
Oh, yeah. It's almost like that.
Was so ratchet. Oh my goodness.
Ratchet. But I like it. I mean, not for nothing. I was in a talk today with Regan Gomez, and you can really expose yourself to amazing people as well. I sat in a conversation where Cheryl Lee Ralph was just like giving up tips on, how she built up her career in theater and music and film and what that was like. And just knowing that you could be in a room with 40 other people and learn from Cheryl Lee Ralph is this gangster.
Yes. And that's here we are. And here we are now. Like, hey, I'm like the hood Cheryl Lee Ralph, yo.
Yeah. So definitely,
you never know what someone's gonna learn. That's something, and I'll say that because I know we gotta wrap up. I'm gonna say that too, that like you never know what someone's gonna learn by listening to your story or just listening to your experience. Like you don't know what anybody's gonna get from this conversation. I already got a lot. I got a lot from it, but I feel like somebody else listening is gonna hear both sides of this and be like, oh, damn, this is actually a powerful ass conversation. Like, look at what
it was such a great catch up, and I'm glad it was so chill. And that, I mean, I definitely didn't know we were gonna just be going at it for like 2 hours, but it was
I let the conversation be as long as it needs to be. Like when it comes to a natural stopping point, or like if I already know the time constraints before, I'll try to like keep it in that time constraint. But yeah, come back.
No, but I'm glad it was nice. It was a lovely. I'm glad we also chose to do it today. It was a nice up and way of looking forward. Because the year was so cluttered, and I'm glad we didn't do this before, because it feels really refreshing. And I wish you a really prosperous and like joyous new year. Someone tried to come from my life yesterday when I said Happy New Year, but if you want to hold on to old times, like do that. But I know the people who are showing up in my life, they're ready for new and refreshing energy. And I wish that you and your family and all of your endeavors, and
thank you so much.
Watching, like, I don't know if anybody's watching, but anybody who's watching,
somebody watches somewhere,
I know that someone wants you to prosper. So you got to choose to prosper. Like, open your road. Like, do not give in to doubt this year. My homegirl said one of the greatest quotes, and I'm going to leave with this. She said, I am too vain for self-doubt. Like all this fake humility or fake consciousness, when you really know that you got big, luxurious thought dreams of big houses and gold jewelry and diamonds stuff. This is not the year to act like socially correct, like politically correct about who you are. Own who you are and live up to it and get yourself the life you want to live. Don't try to justify it in no bullshit. If you don't care,
don't apologize for it either.
Yeah, don't apologize. Like if you don't care and you just want to go on vacation, don't try to tell me about your mental health. You just wanted to go on vacation. You have every right. Stop trying to make it work for everybody. Do what you're gonna do.
Right. Like who cares?
What you gonna do? If we're gonna talk about you, we're gonna talk about you. It don't matter. It's your life, It's just really like, yo, it's 2021. Like, live your life. Like, live your life and live it for your real happiness. not for no 15-second happiness. Stop giving that power away. Like, don't put yourself on the line for no 15 seconds of acknowledgement. Give yourself something that's greater than a showcase. And Jay, thank you.
Thank you. Oh man, thank you. Yo, come back anytime. It was a pleasure.
Sure.
I'm
and
gonna
I'll definitely hit you with the single info on Friday. We just want to pump it up. We want Spotify to go dumb. Put it on all the playlists. Everybody put it on their playlist. We just want Spotify to go dumb so that by the end of the year, we really worldwide this tune. So
yes,
you know.
Yo, bad blessings. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming. Yes. Yo, one more time, I'm just like, shout out to your life. I appreciate you, treasure. We're gonna actually, because a girl, like, look, God cannot lie. I have to use the bathroom, so I'm gonna get back into some more of her music. I'm gonna relieve myself, and then I'll be back with the meditation to end the evening. You know, because that's what we gotta do. It's a full moon. It is the last full moon of the year. It is a full moon in Cancer. Yes, I don't know where that voice just came from. It is a horrible voice. However, it is my voice. I'm okay with it. I am going to put y'all...
Everywhere you go, everywhere you there, everybody there put on a power show. You reach the border, immigration officer there, and go bluff you. Yes. Waste your time. Yes. Changes best, and then come is there. Yes. Then you surprise when they start for you. Say you know go cross today. At that time, then go start that power show. Them go tire your body and go tire your man power Motor car owner him go take him car push. He go push laborer down for road. Then him start to yam foolish laborer. Non-entity, him not get the money. Look him sandals, he don't tear finish. Look him trouser, he don't tear furnish. Look him singlet, he don't dirty finish. Look him body, he don't pay this morning. Look him pocket, he don't dry finish. You go suffer for nothing. You go suffer for nothing. You know me, Sha. I be general for army office. I be officer for police station. I be secretary for government office. You foolish laborer, non-entity. You go suffer for nothing. At that time, them go start them power show. do. Let me fly away with you, for my love is like the wind, and wild is the wind. Give me more than one caress. Satisfy this hungriness, for we're creatures of the wind, and wild is the wind, so wild is the wind when you touch me. I hear the sound of mandolin when you kiss me. With your kiss, my life begins.
I don't know if y'all can hear that. There's this bass. That little stop part for me about the song. I love it.
Don't you know your life itself?
So every time I play a video, I forget to unmute my mic when I stop. So once again, thank you to Treasure Empire for coming on and having this conversation. So beautiful. I hope you got all the gems that I got out of it. If not, maybe you should go listen to it again. I don't know. Everybody gets say stuff in their own time, but you'll get it one day. You know, I believe in you. I believe in you. I really do. And that's why I'm going to share today's meditation. You know, I always got to do, I'm going to end on a meditation to share, because part of the ClapBack is changing the conditioning that we've come to believe, like helping others. Part of the ClapBack is helping others, you know, unpack and change their conditioning, right? So that's why I always end with a meditation. Y'all getting the format now? Beautiful conversation, meditation, and meditation usually lines up. I'm telling you, I think this one is perfect to end on. The quote is by Henry Ford. If money is your hope for independence, you'll never have it. If money is your hope for independence, you'll never have it. Will I make it through the difficult times, or will I give up? Will I? Will I? Will I get up this morning with a positive attitude, greet everyone with a smile, and be glad to be alive? Or will I take a bad attitude into the world and have everyone wish I were not? Will I? Will I? Will I accept the people I encounter today for who they are and encourage them to become a part of the group? Or will I seek out people I feel are superior to the rest and alienate myself from those I judge beneath me? Will I? Will I? Will I do my part and give of myself to create my own independence? Or will I accept the crumbs that keep me dependent on people, conditions, and situations? Will I? Will I? Will I trust myself and follow my first thought? Or will I look for others to validate me? Will I? Will I? Will you? So the meditation for today is: today I know me, honor me, support me, and trust me. Today I know me, I honor me, I support me, and I trust me. And if you can't say that to yourself just yet, just maybe reflect on, what are you willing to do each day to grow your prosperity? Just remember, everything we have has a vibration. Everything we put out, every thought, feeling has a vibration. And when you stifle it, you're not letting it out. Let it out. Make room for your blessings. Like, be a vessel. Empty yourself. It's all right. You feel empty? Go live some life and fill yourself back up again. And then empty yourself back out again. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to make room for the things that you want to attract. That you got to know who you are. You got to honor yourself. You got to support yourself. You got to trust yourself. Yo, that was our whole conversation. If you think about the last two stories, like the story about her getting lost, I got lost in Amsterdam, she got lost in Cuba, and yet by knowing yourself, honoring yourself, supporting ourselves, and trusting ourselves, we got to our destination. We found ourselves where we're supposed to be at, safely and better for it. So on that note, I'm going to leave y'all for the evening. I'm going to thank y'all for watching. Everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, Twitter, and beyond. I will come, you know what, because tomorrow is New Year's Eve, I will do a special broadcast tomorrow. Just to give you a year-end wrap-up for anybody that wants to hop in. I'm putting this out there now so you can email me. Go to the site, www.thegodis.art. Send me an email. Hit me in my DMs or my email address if you have it. If not, go to one of the pages that you're watching this on. Click the link in the bio. And hey, that's how you contact me. It's really easy. I'm always here. God is everywhere. See what I did there? Got it. Good night, Luis Sevilla. Shout out to Luis Sevilla, who's been watching us on Facebook. I appreciate you so much. We didn't mention your comment in the conversation, but we saw it and we both appreciate you for watching. And yo, if you really, really want to, if you really love our work, consider becoming a patron, guys. I got a Patreon. I'm working on it day by day. It's a process. I'm the only, I am the editor. I am the coffee girl. I am the everything. So just remember that. For everything I do, it's just me. It's just me. It's only so many hours in a day and only so many ways you can delegate your time, attention, and energies. But if I had some patrons, I would be able to actually pay an assistant or pay someone to assist me or pay someone for their specific, skill set that would improve our collective situations. That's what this is about. Also, latter note, it'll be up on the website as well. But if you are a content creator and you're interested in my kooky idea that I'm doing right now with CBQK Network, and you want to learn about how that exchange could work, hit the email, go to the website, become a patron. But long story short, we're here to change the world. We are children of the world. I appreciate you for watching. Please remember to keep being kind and patient with yourself and each other, because we are still in a pandemic. So wash your hands, stay home, wear a mask if you're outside, period. This is so simple stuff. But know that you're loved and you deserve to be here. And if you made it this far, good job. Shout out to your life. So yeah, tomorrow I'll be broadcasting. Shout out to your life stuff. And just so I could also share the final meditation for the day. I think maybe in 2021, I might do a meditation every day. So, create some type of accountability. I don't know. Let's talk about it tomorrow in the year and wrap up, okay? And anybody that wants to just hop up and kind of kick it for a little bit, I'm going to be painting. It's going to be a live broadcast day. So I'll just like set it up in the art room and paint with y'all live. And we can also have some conversation if you drop on, and I'll play some beats and we can do stuff. You know what I mean? Always thinking over here, always thinking. Anyway, y'all take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and please don't forget to stop. Don't try to be anybody else. Keep choosing to be yourself because everybody else is taken. I love you. I hope you love you.